Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to One Piece, episode 993. So last time was a big episode for me, and I don't remember if I explained exactly why, but I think I did. But just as a recap, last episode had the reveal of Yamato unmasked. We got to see him in all of his glory and just find out some big stuff regarding his identity. That he is male despite being assigned female at birth. And it doesn't matter his reasoning, it doesn't matter his motivations for that. He says he is male. He uses he, him pronouns for himself, calls himself the son of Kaido, and everyone around him does the same for him. That's all that matters. But last episode also had another trans character with our favorite Akazaya member, Okiku, reuniting with the brother she hasn't seen in a long, long time. Not as long for her as for Izo himself, who it's been over 20 years for. For her, it hasn't been anywhere near as long because she was sent forward 20 years. So she didn't have to live out all of that time. But they got to reunite, and it was beautiful seeing Okiku just break down, getting to see him again after so long. It's like, it was just absolutely beautiful. It was so well handled. It was just perfection. And yeah, I loved it. And Cat Viper's there, and Marco's there, and they're storming things. Momonosuke's in threat of being executed, and Kaido's come out to make an announcement in the meantime. There is this Robin scene that apparently is really funny to a lot of people. It's like she was integrating herself into the Beast Pirates, like to complete her disguise. Her and Jinbei were, and they were like just shouting out stuff to like keep up the disguise, basically to keep up the ruse. And apparently people really like that part when Robin does that. I don't fully understand why. Is it just because the personality she puts on for the ruse is so removed from her actual personality? Is that it? But it's like, I don't get why. Yeah, I was surprised when I found that out too. That's something I hadn't heard about. I guess I had been spoiled on a couple small things here and there, but that was something I had not heard about, I guess. Um, like people really like that from the manga, and I guess now from the anime. It's just like, I heard about that after. I'm like, really? You guys latch on to that? Of all the things that are happening right now, you latch on to that? But okay, whatevs. I mean, hey, let people enjoy what they enjoy. Have fun with it. I don't get it personally, but if you really enjoy that, that's awesome, and I fully support you in that. I support everyone to enjoy whatever they want to enjoy, whatever they love, just, and be passionate about it. Show that. Show how much you love that stuff. That's all I can say about that. But so I don't see where else we're going to head in this besides getting into the battles. Because we know that there's battles coming. We know that we're about to enter basically what could be seen as a war. in its own right. But I just don't see how it's going to do anything else at this point. Because, again, Momo's on the verge of being executed. Our heroes cannot let that happen. They're under disguise at the moment, but they cannot let that happen. They would have to reveal themselves to stop this. And on top of that, Law's group has reached their point where they're supposed to infiltrate through the back. I think it just has to progress at this point. They have to just get on with it. We've kind of had all this buildup since they arrived at Onigashima, everyone just fulfilling their parts of the plan and going along with things, but I think we just do now have to start moving on with it and getting into the big meat of this part of the arc. I think we're going to have to start getting to the real battles. And I'm excited for it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is going to be more stuff before then. Because again, we know it's coming. We just don't know exactly when. There might be a few more episodes just to kind of pad it out a little bit. But we're definitely getting there. And I don't know exactly what the battles are going to be like, because Ulti and Page One, they're kind of running around searching for Luffy and Yamato. Sasaki, I believe, was his name. He was captured and kind of subdued by Denjiro and his team. We haven't seen who's who in a while. Black Maria is with Kaido, or at least was. I don't. Is she still there by the execution platform too? Yeah, it's just like, and we know, like, with the headliners, Queen is right there by Kaido. Is King and Jack too? I know King was just kind of like patrolling. I don't know. They might all be there. It would make sense. But it's like, clearly, like, we're going to get a lot of good fights here. Between the Tobiropo and the headliners and, well, Kaido himself, obviously. We're going to get some really big fights here. Like, this is the part of the arc where things really just kick off, I feel. And I can't even begin to guess what's going to happen outside of just the fact that, as I've stated in the past, as I've stated before, there is obviously going to be some probably injuries from our heroes. There's probably going to be a lot of our heroes getting injured and hurt, and this fight's not going to go well because the Animal Kingdom pirates, the Beast pirates, whatever you want to call them, they are, well, it's the crew of an emperor of the sea. They're not pushovers. They're not going to be easy to take out, even for our heroes. And I mean, mind you, the Straw Hat crew and everything have struggled against enemies plenty of times in the past. Them and their allies. And it's like, even the first time we ever saw the crew of an emperor, back with the Whitebeard pirates during Marineford, it's like, even then you could tell they were on a different level. The crew of an emperor is just on a different level than other crews you see in this series. So you know that Kaido's crew is exceptional in that regard. And that Luffy and them, the Straw Hats, the Kid Pirates, the Heart Pirates, the Akazaya 9, all of our allies, that they're going to have trouble here. It's not going to go easily, and it's probably not going to go entirely well. We'll have to see. But I don't know exactly what's going to happen now. Because with Yamato, he's telling Luffy bits and pieces, little at a time, about Ace and everything. And so, are we going to get kind of a full backstory now because I would like to find out more about that. I would like to know more about Yamato's connection with Ace. And it's funny that this long after Marineford, after Ace's death, we're still finding out stuff about him. Like, Marineford was in the 500s. Actually, before the 500s. Yeah, because the post-war arc ended on episode 516. So it was actually in the 400s. And we're coming up on episode 1000. There have been more episodes post Marineford than there were pre. It's wild to think about. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see how this all goes down. So let's just get this started. Let's see what this episode has in store and how it all goes down. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I'm going to try to cover everything through just, I guess, the little bits we get in this episode. There's not like a huge amount that happened here, but I'll try to cover everything based on like different sections, different focuses. So let's talk about Luffy and Yamato first. So they just continue to talk, and we find out a little more information. When Ace was here, he tried to take Kaido's head, and that's how he met Yamato, who has been stuck on Onigashima since he was 8. Apparently, they got along pretty well, and Ace told Yamato about all this stuff. But they also did fight at one point, so maybe they fought first, and then they ended up getting along afterwards. It's possible. And apparently Yamato wanted to go out to sea with Ace, but just wasn't able to at that time, and now wants to do so with Luffy, so that's interesting. We also find out the reasons for the shackles that are around Yamato's wrists, that they are exploding shackles, like we've seen before with the Celestial Dragons, and even previously in this very arc. And I like how Luffy's just like, I could take those off for you. Do you want me to do that? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna beat up your father anyway. But I can take those off for you. You want me to? I just like how kind of casual he is about it, and how Yamato's like Yamato's just like, wait, I've had these on since I was young, since I was a kid. You're just saying you could take these off, and Yamato's just like losing his mind and everything. But yeah, it's like really interesting, I guess, to find out all this information. And with the entire thing about Yamato calling himself Kozuki Oden, it's more of like, it's a more symbolic gesture. It's clearly meant to be more of like, he's like saying like, I'm the new Oden. I'm trying to be the new Oden. I'm trying to like take that mantle, take that role. It's more of a symbolic thing than like actual literally he sees himself as the literal Kozuki Oden. I kind of view it as like he like views Kozuki Oden so highly, he just wants to kind of follow in his footsteps. He wants to be like him and to kind of, well, just follow in his ways, his methods, his ideologies, open up Wano and everything. But he also at this point thinks the Akazaya samurai are dead, and that seems to be a reason why he's wanting to take that mantle. So it's maybe a little implied that if he knew the Akazaya were alive, he wouldn't be doing that. He'd let them take up that mantle, which they are doing, since we know they're alive and everything. And Luffy hasn't revealed that to him yet either. Um, Interestingly enough. But yeah, so that was interesting in itself. We get a tiny bit with Big Mom chasing and capturing Nami, Zeus, and Carrot, although Shinobu manages to get away. On Nami and Carrot's recommendation, to be fair. We get a little bit shown, just like this tiny bit shown of Robin and Jinbei. But the meat of this episode was definitely with the Akazaya themselves. So Law heads out to do his own thing because, he's Law. And the Akazaya get ready to infiltrate. And they're met at the gate, you could say. Not actually gate, more of the door. But just to say the term, they're met at the gate by Kanjuro. And the fights begin. While the rest of the Akazaya start to fight the various Animal Kingdom pirates who are working with Kanjuro, as well as Kanjuro's own drawings and everything, the one who specifically confronts him is, of all of them, Kiku. And it's like, it makes sense. Because while all of them were shocked and all of them were really distraught by his betrayal, we saw very much so that Kiku was the most so. She was so absolutely crushed by his betrayal. Because let's be honest, Kiku can get emotional. She's an emotional person. She just is. We've seen this, so it makes sense. She very much values the friendships she has. So finding out that one of her closest friends was betraying them the entire time, that it was all an act, and not only betraying them but also Odin, who they pledged themselves to so strongly, it broke her emotionally. She was really upset. We saw in this episode, and even in previous episodes, that this has made her cry many times, and it's upset me because I don't like seeing her sad. But yeah, it's like, I don't blame her. Because while it's not comparable by any means, I've had friends who have betrayed me, especially when I came out. When I came out, multiple friends just basically ceased being my friends because of it. And I had to break off a lot of relationships of toxic people who didn't necessarily break it off themselves because of it. And it hurt to have friends who I was even kind of close with and had good relationships with, to just do that to me, to just either break off a relationship simply because I came out, or to start acting so vile about it that I had to break it off. It sickens me, honestly, that people would be like that. So while it's definitely not comparable by any means to what Kiku is going through specifically here, I do know what it is like to be betrayed by friends. And in a way, it's like, I know it's kind of a thing that a lot of people say. It's almost at this point just a not really a joke. What's the word for it? It's a stereotype to say this, I guess. I don't know what else to call it. There's actually some term you could use. I can't remember it though. But it's almost like stereotypical to say this now, but the entire idea of like, oh, if they're going to act that way when something like that happens, they were never really your friends to begin with. And it's like, it's kind of true though. If someone is willing to betray you or start acting super toxic towards you because of something like that, then they were never really your friends to begin with. Because no true friend would ever just turn on their friend like that. That's not friendship. That's not how that works. So again, it's not comparable. My own issues, my own experiences aren't comparable with Kiku specifically because of especially what happened and the severity of it. But I do know what it is like to have friends betray me and to really realize that they were never truly my friends from the get go. And it does hurt. It hurts greatly, especially with the ones who I was very close to and have honestly still a lot of fond memories with. It does hurt. But luckily, I've been able to make a lot more better friends since then. And you know Kiku will as well. So we see her just reaching for as much hope as she can, asking Kanjuro, was any of it real? And yeah, this is a very stereotypical thing to ask in this kind of situation. Finding out someone betrayed you, like this has been shown in multiple other pieces of media throughout time. It's just like, oh yeah, we've seen this kind of thing before. But at the same time, it's what you would ask in that kind of situation. She asks him, she begs him to tell her, was any of it real? Did you feel anything? And his response is like, oh, thank you for the compliment to my acting. And it's like he didn't even have to elaborate or go any further. At that point, it's just like, okay, fuck you, dude. I want to see you die. But he elaborates. He's like, oh no, I felt nothing that entire time. I'm just such a good actor that I could fake it. I could cry when I wasn't sad. I could be happy or I could laugh when I wasn't happy. And it's like, oh my God. Like I said in the reaction, it's so wild how a character can go from being likable to absolutely despisable so quickly. Props to Oda. Like I talked about this before, like especially when it was first revealed, but this this reveal, this betrayal was actually so expertly written. Oda really knocked it out of the park. It was so unexpected. It was so well handled, and like the Akazaya themselves, it just completely shocked us and threw us off our guard. It was just that well handled. I really like how it was handled. I just do. So seeing Kanjuro being such an absolute dixicle here, and seeing how absolutely livid Kiku gets in response is sending me. Like seeing Kiku get so fucking pissed at his flippant assholery. It excites me because it's like we know Kiku is strong. We know all of them are strong. Of course. But like seeing her like put on the mask and everything and like get extremely serious and extremely angry as she starts to fight Kanjuro is just like, it's so good. It's so satisfying. And I can't wait to see where this battle goes. Like, this is going to be damn good. um, yeah, I'm very excited. This arc has already become my favorite arc of this series. But it's like with the shit that they're getting into, the stuff that they're about to launch off into in this, as I called it, basically another war in a way. it's like, geez, we're gonna be going heavy during the rest of this arc, aren't we? At least during this battle, it's gonna be extremely heavy. Um, and then I guess I'll mention briefly at the end here. We also did hear more from Kaido, and apparently their plan is to gather all of the ancient weapons and basically just take over the entire world, just completely. Like, take over from the entire world government, even. And it's like, oh, you're shooting literally for the biggest possible thing. I don't blame you, or well, yeah, I don't blame you. No, I will hold on to that, even though Kaido is an asshole and just completely psycho. I lost my the way I was wording that, but he's even though he's an asshole and a complete psychopath, um, nonetheless, I can't blame him for hating the Marines and the world government. It's like, yeah, they kind of suck. They suck ass. Let's be honest. They do. There are some good ones who are trying to change things and trying to do things right, but most of them suck ass. And even the good ones acknowledge that. Like Smoker very much acknowledges that the rest of them are assholes. Like Smoker does not like them really that much. Aokiji even acknowledged and straight up challenged Akainu to a fight before he eventually left. Uh, Garp has acknowledged this, and so on and so forth. Kobe, obviously. Um, so yeah, it's completely fair to hate the world government and the Marines in this series. I don't blame Kaido for that. I don't blame him for wanting to take them out either. But what he's still planning to do is still bad. Trying to take over the entire world using these ancient weapons. It's like, oh, no, 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 no. Let us not do that. Let's just not. Um, so yeah, definitely going to be exciting to see how far this goes. And we'll just see how it turns out as it continues. Luffy and Yamato are now listening in to Kaido's speech. The Akazaya are being fought by Kanjuro and them, and things are just moving along. They're just chugging along, and I'm getting excited because the closer we get to episode 1000, it's like I'm hoping 1000 is really good. I'm hoping we get a really damn good episode for episode 1000, but we'll see. Either way, as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and no spoilers. Do not tell me what's to come. I want to remain as spoiler free as possible, even though One Piece it's hard to do that sometimes with because this fandom is very loud, loves to talk. But please, no spoilers if you can. And just tell me your thoughts on this episode. What you thought of the events of this episode and all, and what's happening with all of these fights that are about to get started, all of this exciting stuff. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you so much once again for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.